Hope you guys are having a great evening, those of you who are awake. So, question is, how much do you charge? How do you figure out how much to charge somebody for a job? Now, if you're thinking, well, let me see how cheap I can be, that's not the answer, and I can prove it. You got a pair of sneakers, you paid $300 for them, you want to sell them. The last thing you want to do is drop the price, because people are going to say, hey, what's wrong with them? Meanwhile, there's nothing wrong with them. You just don't want them anymore and you want to get out of them. So if you drop them down to $40, people are going to think something's wrong with this $300 pair of sneakers. In fact, you have a better chance of selling them if you raise the price to $350, $400. You got to know your customers. But hey, maybe there's something about these sneakers we don't know. And this really goes on in the world. Now, I'm going to share a couple of thoughts that I think apply universally to any kind of business. These are the kind of things my competitors call me. I'm not going to get into my little secrets, but I will tell you, how do you figure out how to charge? A job came up tonight, very random, rare kind of job, and it kind of stumped me. The guy says, how much do you want? And I gave him a figure and he said, done. How did I come up with that figure? How did I come up with a price on the spot? Well, I'll tell you, if you're a lawyer or a real estate manager or a doctor or something that's consistent, continuous, you go to a job site, you have a pretty consistent idea of what's going on, then you have a basic charge you give, and that's it. When it comes to trucking, I think we are like a clump of gigs. And the reason I say that is because although you can argue this for any business, that while you're doing one thing, you can't do the other, but the truth is, you really could take on more tenants or manage more buildings. It'll be a lot of work. You could take on more patients, more clients. But when it comes to trucking, no matter how many clients you have, you can only do one job at a time. Now, the thing about trucking is that you need to think in terms of the long run. I think guys who make it in this business are the guys that aren't afraid to ask for what they deserve. What do I mean? There's a lot of exposure. When you are driving, let's say you want to give the guy the best price possible. So now what happens if you get a ticket? What happens if you get into an accident? What happens? You're out there in the world. The further you go, the more money you make. I always say trucking is funny. It's the only business in the world that I can think of where the further you send your worker away from you, the more money you make. Well, usually you got your worker right there. But I digress. The point I'm trying to make is that if you want to make it in business, you can't be afraid to ask for the right amount of money. And you need to think about the long game, long term. If you are going to ask for a certain amount of money and then something goes a little uncomfortable, a little sideways, now you're going to feel uncomfortable. On top of that, if you're not afraid to ask for the right amount of money, you can go above and beyond without feeling like you got duped, because, hey, you got the right amount of money. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that in order to figure out how much you should charge for a job, remember that you're also your own boss. Meaning, when you hire somebody to do this job, you should have made money. So if you do the job yourself, no reason you shouldn't make money as the boss. So when you're charging for the job, you're charging to do the job as the worker, you're charging to do the job as the boss, and you're also putting in for the exposure that comes with a business like trucking. You can apply this to any business. I was in real estate management for a very, very long time. I was in market trading, whole bunch of things. And the more I think about it, the more I am just certain that in order to make it long term, not short term, try to impress somebody and then walk away frustrated that you didn't get paid the right amount of money. But building your business, you can't be afraid to ask for what you deserve. I don't know. Hopefully that rant was helpful. If you need a good mover, small move specialist, any kind of moving, 917-992-1749. Have a great night. God bless you. Thanks for listening to my rant.